Hey, what's up, everyone? The Spider-Man is back. So we are continuing. I hope somebody is getting some kind of value out of this. And today we're going to try to experiment going into dangerous waters. We're going to speak about religion. We're going to speak about politics. And we're going to speak about football. No, just reminds me in Brazil, funny joke, yeah, that you go to a bar and you start speaking about football and the owner says no, in this bar we don't speak about football because soccer here in America, because there's too many fights, so speak about anything you want, just not soccer, right? So then the guy starts speaking about politics, like, no, speak about whatever you want, just not politics, because people start to fight and drinking and fighting. Okay, so no football and no politics. Okay, so let's speak about religion. Are you going to church tomorrow? No, just not religion. That's even worse than football. Don't speak about religion. So the guy asked the barman, so what can we speak? Like, what can I speak about here? Like, what the hell, man? He says, I don't know. Speak about what's on men. Speak about sex. He's like, sex? Okay, so fuck you, and he leaves the bar, right? So it's getting to a point where we are not allowed to speak about anything anymore. And any subject you talk about, it's like walking in a minefield. Yeah, because everybody wants to explode. So let's go. Let's walk in the minefield. And how are we gonna attack this subject? Let's make the circle. Once I make the circle. So this morning, I was thinking about, first of all, the yin and yang, right? Whoop. I need to work on my drawings. This fish came out a lot bigger than the other fish. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, it's like one fish that's eating the other fish. One of them is black, one of them is white, but the black one has a white eye and the white one has a black eye, right? And I'm sure that since you guys are doing martial arts, you know this sign very well. So, um, we are very much living in a world that's dominated by the religions that developed in the Middle East. Okay, so for the last 2,000 years, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are the dominant forces in the world, and obviously things are not going so good. Yeah, so we need to think about it a little bit. All these religions, they started with Abraham, so all of these religions, they see Abraham as their father. And Abraham, in the book of Genesis, and this is stuff you can talk to anybody in the world, because there will not be too much argument here, because it's before all the drama starts. So Abraham has a kind of illumination, or a kind of urge to go out and to search. Sometimes we take the Bible literally, but if you learn how to read the metaphors and the mythology, then you understand that everything is talking about the internal journey, and not the external journey. Okay, so Abraham wants to take part in a spiritual journey. He meditates about it and he gets the answer from God to go and to cross the river. Crossing the river is a symbolic, of course, crossing of the river, even though the river does exist and people go to the river and people play in the river and people pray to the river. But the crossing of the river was a symbolic act of going on a self exploratory journey. Once he crossed the river, he was called the Hebrew. Why was he called the Hebrew? Because Hebrew in the original language, right, is literally means to Ivrit, yeah, and this connects here to this word, which means to cross the river. So basically, he crossed the river. He was called the guy that crossed the river. And everything that came from him, all his sons and all the tribes and all the religions, they are all Hebrew. So basically, all the religions, all the three dominant religions of today are Hebrews. And I know the word Hebrew today is more connected to the Jewish religion, but that is just because people don't go deep enough. Okay. So the Hebrews are the people that crossed the river, and out of the Hebrews came Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. Um, how does this connect a little bit to capoeira? Yeah, it connects to capoeira because many times the original reason or the original motif or the original motivation is not remembered throughout the ages. And from generation to generation, this message changes. It doesn't change on purpose, you know. All the students are well meaning. They just want to express what they've learned. But Abraham and all the prophets of the Old Testament and the New Testament, they learned very quickly that you can say 10 things, but the people around you will only hear 8 of them and will only listen to 6 of them and will only understand 4 of them and will only remember 2 of them and will end up in the end doing close to zero of what you initially intended. That's how it works. Every teacher in the world uh, knows this, right? There's the original message, and then it goes through, it loses, it goes through the filter of every person, it goes into one ear, comes out of the other ear, and in the end, the result is very far away from the beginning. Okay, so actually, in religions, you see it also. You see that the religions today, all of them, and I'm not religious whatsoever. Okay, and I have no problem with religions, and I think they're all beautiful, and I study all of them. But I think at their core, they had a lot of wisdom and value. And then every generation, and now we are 2000 years later. So what is left is a very, very distorted echo of the original message. If we jump back to capoeira, I think the situation is very similar, and this is why I'm making this video to make the parallel. Okay, I think that capoeira, starting out of survival and starting out of there, had something as a kind of function, and then from generation to generation, this function not only changed, but it changed, but thinking that it is um, uh, remembering the essence. That's the only problem. Like if you are here and you know that what you know is just a small echo of the beginning, then it's no problem because now you can trace back the echo. But if you're here and you think that what you know is the truth, then that is the problem because you are distorted. On one side, you are distorted. On the other side, you believe that you are the source. And we see that going on in different manifestations. Okay, so a big part of what we call religion today is actually just a kind of political organization structure that helped humanity develop. Remember that these things developed in the Middle East over 2000 years ago. Desert, survival, has to be very strict, no room for playing around, right? Everything has to be because humanity at any moment, right? Any long summer, any flood, everything can finish, right? So this kind of living demanded very strict, rigorous organization of the people. So around the religion, around the original message, the spiritual message, the message of love, which is at the base of all this, right? So, but around that started to accumulate a structure that helped organize the people's lives. People's lives are organized around the agriculture, around the seasons, around the planting, around the hunting, around, it's all about, in the end of times, it's all about food and shelter. Okay. So a lot of what we call religion today is not very much connected to the message, but more connected to the structure of organizing people. And maybe 2000 years down the road, that structure needs to be recalibrated. But at the essence, at the core, everything is still amazing. So if you go to the core of these religions, and usually the core of the religions, you're going to find it in the esoteric, in the magic, in the secret, in the, those books that, that are hard to find. So you're going to find, the Kabbalah from the Judaism, you're going to find the Sufism in the Islam, and the Christianity has also a few of these streams that are less popular, less known. Why are they less popular? Because when they come out, what happened to the prophets in the Bible? Doesn't matter whichever one of them. By the way, all the prophets were meditating, right? The whole Bible is stories about people going into caves, sitting quietly for a long time, and coming out with a revelation. What's the difference? So people today in religions, they are praying more, and the prayer is a kind of meditation. But a big percentage of the people that are following these traditions are just going through the motions without the real connectivity. The connectivity, by the way, is religion. Religare, to reconnect. The whole point of the religion is to reconnect to the essence. Yeah, ligare, liga, religion, religa. And if you want to learn a little bit how to demystify and how to read between the lines and how to understand the stories, there's a lot of sources out there. And one of the sources that did it for me in the beginning, that opened up this door for me, was with the hero journey. What's his name? Robert Campbell. Yeah, Robert Campbell. Let me see here. The hero's journey. Boom, YouTube. Robert Campbell. Yeah, Robert Campbell, yeah, which studied all the myths and all the religions and found some connections between them. There's also modern people that are doing it beautifully, and Jordan Peterson, yeah, from the historian. We have what's his name from Israel that wrote the history of humanity, Yuval Harari. You have Matthias de Stefano. If you start looking, you're going to see that at the base of all the religions, there is very, very similar messages. Just like if you go back to Capoeira lineages, you're going to see that at the base of all the lineages, there was very similar messages. If you go back and it's on internet and you can find it, there's interviews with Mr. Bimba, and there's interviews with Mr. Pastinha, and there's interviews with Valdemar and with Kajiquinha, and there is the notebook of Mr. Pastinha, his diary, where he writes down thoughts, and he's almost like, prophetic, and and there's the books of Nestor Capoeira, which have a very, very uh, good essence of truth in them. Yeah, if you have the patience to find it. So what happens is, many times what happens in capoeira is what happens to the to the to the prophets in the Bible. Yeah, so the stories of the prophets in the Old Testament and the New Testament always goes the same thing. So the guy comes out of the cave and he had a revelation. He runs to tell his friends. Two things can happen: either his friends get scared and kill him, or his friends feel that he's speaking truth and start to follow him. If his friends start to follow him, then very quickly, once it becomes a big group, then the forces, yeah, the politics and the whoever's in rule get scared and they kill him. So for the prophets, it's always either your friends kill you or the system kills you, and that's how it's always been. And many times you're going to see that in capoeira, the old masters, they were all friends, they all agree with each other. And there's a beautiful interview with Miss Pastinha that the interviewer, she's a lady, I think from Europe, she's very tricky. She asks him about Mestre Bimba to see how he will answer. And he answers so beautifully, so beautifully. There is no duality. No, we're doing the same thing. He's doing it his way, I'm doing it my way, but it's the same exact thing. And that is beautiful, right? There, it was a time before. Now, what happens is exactly here, right? So both Bimba and Pastia were teaching a lot of things, but their students maybe just heard a few of them and just listened to a few of them. You need to understand the difference between hearing and listening, and then maybe just understood a little bit of them and just remembered. So you see that as the lineage goes, just like with religion, we end up with a very vague and distorted essence of the truth. And this is why we need more people participating actively in the practice of capoeira and not just belonging to an institution or belonging to a group or belonging to the art form or putting on a t-shirt or cheering or sharing your opinion. We need less of that, or it doesn't matter, we can have that as much as we want, but we need definitely to balance that out with real practice, right? Real practice requires you to go into the cave and to be quiet and to work, okay? And that's a metaphor, of course, but in capoeira, real practice requires you to sit with your berimbau for 10 minutes without the phone and just to go into it. And not one day, you do it for a long time, you do it as a lifestyle. And to do the sequences of Mestre Bimba, and to do the sequences of the Angola, and to review the sequences of New Geo, and to review the Jinga, and every time to get deeper and deeper and deeper until things start to clarify and you start to understand where they came from. Okay? So that was a little bit of a different kind of message. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear some comments here at the bottom of the video to see if you're enjoying this kind of content. Should I continue? Should I go in a different direction? Tell me, and I will do it.